Hello, I'm Tim Loughton, the Conservative candidate for the general election in East Worthing and Shoreham, and in today's podcast I just want to talk briefly about the NHS. As sure as night follows day, whenever there's a general election you get lots of people jumping up and down and saying, oh, the NHS is in crisis, we've got to save our NHS. Well, let's just look at the facts. This government at the last election pledged an additional £10 billion into the NHS. We've started to deliver that. We've said this time round an additional £8 billion over the lifetime of this Parliament, in real terms increases into the NHS. That's about investment in the NHS that everybody loves and is committed to, and it's absolutely essential that we continue to invest in and nurture and value, and a Conservative government, and me as a Conservative MP, is absolutely behind that. Let's just look at the facts of what's happened under a Conservative government. Well, there are 2,300 more patients who are being treated in A&E within the 4-hour targets every day in our hospitals. There are now 12,000 additional doctors since 2010, 11,500 additional nurses and midwives in our NHS since 2010. 1.9 million more operations have happened since 2010. 5.9 million more diagnostic tests, and 822,000 more people seen by cancer specialists. And really crucially as well, infections in hospitals have now more than halved since 2010. These are facts. This is progress. This is the result of lots of investment and lots of hard work and dedication by our staff at every level in the NHS. So of course we value it, and of course we want to continue to invest in it. Now, we're really lucky around here because we have Worthing Hospital, one of only 5 acute hospitals in the country rated as outstanding. The best rated, the safest maternity unit in the whole country, led by Marion Griffiths, the Chief Executive of Worthing Hospital, who was rated as the top NHS Chief Executive, again in the whole country. Worthing does a fantastic job, and everyone I speak to says how well they've been looked after if they've been to Worthing Hospital. We have, of course, got great pressures on our NHS. As we know around here particularly, our population is living longer, will require more care and support from the NHS. We've got to get it right that we have decent adult social care, good quality adult social care, sustainably quality adult social care, so that older people who have to go into hospital don't have to stay in those beds for longer than they need to when they're fit enough to come out. There are lots of challenges in the NHS. Locally, we need to recruit more GPs. We have a shortage of GPs. The cost pressures, the cost of living pressures we have in the south of England make it that much more difficult to recruit. But this government has been putting the money in to the NHS. We need to have more doctors, more homegrown doctors and nurses. Absolutely, we need to guarantee the positions of those doctors and nurses and other clinicians who are from the EU, and that's one of our top priorities when the Brexit negotiations start as well. So there are lots of good news stories in the NHS. Whenever anybody speaks to me about their local doctors and local hospitals, they are full of praise for them. We're putting more money into the NHS. We're putting more money and more investment into mental health services, which is something particularly close to my heart. Of course there are challenges. Of course there are pressures. Of course it will never be enough money. It's almost an infinite ask. But we are committed to the NHS. We value the NHS. Please don't believe the scare stories. Please don't let people talk down our NHS, because we really appreciate it. And I hope you'll see by the fantastic local services we have that actually our staff there are doing a great job, and we should value them and appreciate them rather than talk the NHS down.